The first one will be the Kitten, which is like a cat eye look. The next one we're going to do is going to be the Ashlyn, which is kind of a shorter look. Depending on the eye, it's a curlier lash, and it's very much a doll eye look where it's kind of the same length all throughout. The Ashlyn has a really natural look to it. So I got a little glue up there. So you can see it's a little bit wispy. It has a nice curl to it. Still very natural. You can tell it's kind of shorter on my eye. The next one is a natural lash. It is a little bit longer, has kind of a wispy feel to it. You can tell it's kind of more pieced out a little bit, has lots of texture, and it's less curly. So it's a little bit straighter of a lash. So this is the natural. You can see it has a little bit darker base to it, and then you have a little bit more pieciness happening here. It's essentially the same length, but your height is in the center point here. And it's just soft. It's a little bit of like a softer, longer look than having like a curl back, which I prefer this usually over something curly, but people like both. So that's the natural. Next up is the wet look. So the wet look has a more piecey vibe to it. It's gonna be made to mimic the look of the wet look extension. So these are a really fun one that recently were released. So this is the wet look. It has a similar feel to the natural lash, but it has longer spikes that come out of it. It's a very textured look, really pretty. Still light in the fullness, it's not super heavy, but you do get some really pretty pieces that come up. Next up is the Wispy, which is wispier than some, depending on what you define wispy as. But it has a nice curl to it, and then it has a lot of texture. So these have the most texture out of all of our styles because it does have curl, but then it has a second layer that's kind of more swooping up. So you get both dual textures going on. So the last pair is the volume pair. These are going to be the fullest out of all the ones we carry so far. They do have some curl. They're going to be less curly than the Wispy, but it gives you the most density. It still has a lot of texture to it. So this is the volume. It's definitely the fullest. You can rearrange a little bit to give more of a cat eye if you want to with it. It's not gonna hold super well. I'm gonna take that last piece off. It's a little bit longer than some of the other styles, but it's not as curly. It has a softer curl to it, but still a really dark base and nice density. So those are all of our styles. They range in fullness and curl, and hopefully that gives you a better idea of what you might be looking for style-wise. Everything we carry is made with really high quality. PBT is a type of fiber. It's a synthetic fiber, which is what makes it vegan. None of them are made from real mink, so it's not poor little animals being used to make our eyelashes, but it's a really high quality synthetic fiber. And so that means it's going to be hypoallergenic. It's going to hold its curl really well. How it's made helps it hold its curl, hold its shape a lot better. Technically they're heat resistant, but only to such an extent because it still is a synthetic material. So just like anything else, if it gets too much heat, it can still cause it to singe or to lose its shape. They are all pre-cut, which means each segment of the lash is already cut up off the strip, so you can just pull it right out of the box and put it straight on. You can see that in our how-to tutorials. Sometimes you do need to trim a little bit of the edge off. Sometimes the edges don't get cut completely flush, so if you feel like you're having any discomfort with your wear or any irritation, when you pick up your segment, just look at it and see if there's any edge. It'll be a little clear edge on either side, and you can just trim that off, and that'll give you a lot more comfort. The other great thing, if you're someone who likes a lot of fullness, you can stack any of the styles too. So if sometimes I like a wet look, but I want to stack it so it has a heavier base, it looks a little bit fuller, but it still has that piecey texture, which I really enjoy. Or if you like the Ashlyn, which is a little shorter with a lot more curl, that one stacked looks really nice too. So you can get that same kind of volume look in a little bit different shape if you want to as well. And the volume can be stacked as well for like a mega volume type look. But all of them, I think I've really loved. I went through and tried tons and tons of different styles and different brands too as well, and just trying to see what was out there and what could be manufactured. And there weren't a lot of manufacturers who thought they could give me the fullness that I wanted. And so when I finally found someone, I was super happy about that, because a lot of DIY lashes are either really soft and very light and natural, which is a beautiful look, but it's not what everybody wants, you know. Or you get ones that are really full, but they look super fake and really plasticky, and they have like that shiny plasticky look to them, and they just don't look very nice in my opinion. So I felt like being able to get fullness, which also has texture, they have different layers to them, which gives them different texture, so it gives it more of like a lash extension look, like a salon look, opposed to an at-home look. I feel like that makes the biggest difference, and then the quality of the fiber, so that it's not a really shiny material, it's not like reflecting the light, that helps to give them a much more natural look. So there are a lot of factors to our lashes that give them the quality that they are, which helps create the look that you guys kind of want and what you're looking for. It's a lash extension look. It's not just replacing mascara. I didn't want to just place my mascara. I wasn't wearing mascara. I'd been wearing lash extensions for almost 10 years and needed something to fill that gap for me. And I couldn't find anything, so I made it. So I hope you guys enjoy. I hope this was helpful in identifying which style works best for you, and maybe answering some questions about our quality.